Hello and welcome to another edition of Lab Rats. In fact, the last edition of 2010. My name's Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And today on the show, of course, we just decided that it was time for the world to have one more awards show, and that would be the Lab Rats Awards of the Year for the tech breakthroughs, the exciting things that happen in tech, and maybe some silly things along the way.
Probably a few silly things.
That's right. So today we're going to kind of cover off like all the big events that happened in 2010 and in our take on it, the best of, the worst of, that sort of thing. So kind of excited about that. And we've been for our Christmas lunch, so if you see an extra smile on Mr. Carruthers' face, you know what's going on.
Yay.
All right, so are you excited about this?
Totally excited.
Yeah, I knew you would be. All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, the 2010 Lab Rats Awards for Tech Craziness.
Woo!
Well, before we get started with the Lab Rats Awards for 2010, I want to talk to you a little bit about Hover.com, our sponsor here on the show. Hover.com, of course, the place where you can get buy note domains and do more with them. And of course, the year is not out yet, so if you somehow slept through Christmas or slept through your holiday season and didn't buy somebody something, you could buy them a vanity domain name. You know, something that gives them the presence on the internet, or gives them their own vanity email address. Easy at Hover.com.
It's a pretty good present.
It's a pretty delicious present. So if you're late, it's not too late. And if you want to get 10% off, use this coupon code right here, and we'll take care of that for you to give you a little break so that you can save some money, so you have money left over for 2011.
Very good.
Okay, good. All right, so let's get started with the Lab Rats Awards of 2010.
Yes.
I think we should start with mobiles have become a huge, huge thing. I mean,
yes.
I actually know people these days that access the internet without a computer. Like, they don't actually own a computer, they don't own a laptop, they just have their smartphone.
These are weird, weird people.
Very weird people. And
well, to me anyways, because I'm used to using the internet on my computer, my notebook, my desktop, whatever. So
yeah.
This is how I've done it.
You've done it forever that way.
Forever.
So the idea of not having a computer, right, and just using your smartphone is a bit crazy. So it's important that we talk about smartphones, and I think this was a big year for smartphones. So in your estimation, Mr. Carruthers, I would count there's probably 3 or 4 different ones on the marketplace. There's the iPhone 4, which came out this year. There's the various Android phones. There is the BlackBerry Torch came out this year. Nokia has even come up with a couple of devices this year.
Yeah, and Palm has been around with devices this year as well. So
HP acquired them as well. So in your estimation, what would you call the smartphone of the year, and why?
Well, I think the temptation is probably to call the iPhone 4 the smartphone of the year.
Yes.
Because it's got a Retina display, great display, a fantastic picture, faster, does really great gaming. It's an experience that's just amazing.
Yeah.
But I think the smartphone of the year is a platform. It's the Android. So we were expecting the iPhone 4 to be the smartphone of the year.
Sure.
But meanwhile, Android was sneaking in the back way and just sort of, because they don't have like one model that they have to hitch their name to, like the iPhone 4 does. It's just like everyone. Motorola can do it, Samsung can do it, so all these other manufacturers can do it. So the Android has taken over the whole space, basically. They've gotten, I think, the majority of the market share this year.
Yeah, they're growing fast on the iPhone for sure right now.
Definitely.
Now, in any marketplace, there are always, it starts off with 1 leader, and then eventually it whittles down to 2 leaders and usually a third kind of runner-up. And I would say to you that it was an open book this year. iPhone clearly had the market lead, and somebody was going to come up in the middle, and there was an opportunity for Nokia, for Palm, for everybody. You're right, Google came out with this Android operating system. No one phone, no one piece of hardware, and it wasn't necessarily the HTC or the Samsung phone handsets. It was just the platform in general. So Android is growing very quickly. It is perhaps going to outpace the iPhone if it hasn't already in 2011. It is going to be the platform. Now, they're going to go neck and neck, I think, ongoingly. Yeah. And, Apple has all of the iPhones. And the rest of the market has to be split by several other vendors.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is the iOS 4, when that was released early in the year, it did some really amazing things, and it's a really big leap forward for iOS. But Android basically has taken over more of the marketplace just through sheer force of volume, all the different vendors that are doing this. So I think Android takes it from that perspective.
Android takes it. So Android is the smartphone of the year for the Lab Rats. Okay, let's moving on. Of course, with the smartphones come apps. And there's been probably 300,000 apps on the iPhone side. I think there's approaching 100,000 apps by now on the Android side. We have them all listed at butterscotch.com now. And so one app, I think, has to take the top spot.
Yes.
And it's probably not hard to guess. I bet you out there in Lab Lesson, if you're into the iPhone or into Android or anything like that, I guarantee you could probably guess what we're about to say.
Think for a few seconds here, and you'll know what we're about to say.
That's right. That's right. Angry Birds.
Angry Birds.
Yeah, Angry Birds. What a phenomenon. So this app, of course, very simple. It's amazing when you make $1 million out of a simple idea. So you're basically flinging various birds at pigs that are like holding a fort, and many levels. There were 2 versions this year. There was the first one, and then there was Angry Birds Seasons. Not a bad deal for 99 cents. Just to get started.
Yeah, so Seasons is 99 cents definitely. So there was a Halloween version, there's a Christmas version. Yeah. There's the previous version, which was the full meal deal, like 5 different levels with like 15 to 25 levels each. And a lot of great gameplay, all physics-based, so you have to sort of hit things in exactly the right place, infinite replayability, because you can play it and get like 1 star out of 3, and then replay it, try to do it a little bit better, get it in one bird as opposed to using all 3 of the birds that you have at your disposal. So a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of runners-up, though, I mean, there's been obviously lots of other apps. I would say that one of my favorites this year has been Harbor Master. It's one of those line drawing games. You're trying to park ships into the dock. I know Kate Abraham did a 60-second app on that game. Hours of Addiction. They created a category of dragging. A route with, and so there's been all kinds of follow-ups. There's a Jaws game, and there's all kinds of airplane landing games, things like that. So that's Harbor Master, and I highly recommend that. For you, what would you say your follow-up is?
Flipboard. Flipboard was the one that Apple actually named App of the Year, and that's because it takes all your social media applications like Facebook, Twitter, and brings them into a magazine-style interface. So you can see all of the things that your friends have flagged as newsworthy stories in a magazine-style interface. So instead of buying a Time magazine over at the newsstand, you can actually just fire a Flipboard, and there it all is.
So your own personal customized magazine using all your social media feeds.
Yeah, pretty much.
Very good. Okay, good.
Just like that.
All right. Well, since you're holding that up, hold on to that real tight, because I want to talk a little bit about the next category we're looking at.
Oh, don't give things away.
No, I'm not giving anything away right now, but just don't let that thing go too far away. Product of the year. We always like to think about what is the tech product of the year. I think we've seen a lot of really great innovations this year, again in the mobile space, and you could almost say that the iPhone 4 perhaps was a contender there.
It was great.
3D TV got introduced this year. The Consumer Electronics Show, in January, and really has been a phenomenon. I think a greater surprise than most people predicted.
Yeah,
not just a gimmick.
When we went to CS and everyone was talking about 3D TV, we're like, oh, this is like a fad. This is maybe not going to take off. But you see it in all the flyers these days. People are talking about 3D TV.
Yeah, lots of good content for it and that sort of thing. A very good camera, the W3 from Fujifilm, which is actually shoots 3D stills and 3D video as well in a package of under $500. So Andrew Moore Chrisman did a video of that I did a review of that on Gadget TV. So, but I think the criteria for a gadget of the year or an invention of the year really should go to a product that's defined a category, and I
think it's the iPad.
It might be
in the end, it is the iPad.
Yeah.
So we had talked about tablets beforehand. I mean, we've seen them, for almost a decade now, in various formats. We had like ones with little styluses we can use with little nibs that you run on the screen. It's just like writing on it. Not so good. When the iPad came along at the beginning of 2010, what it allowed you to do was interact with it using your fingers. So you can just swipe across the screen. You don't have to have a special stylus to interact with it. Everything you want to do is basically in the palm of your hand. You can just tap it, swipe, do all the interaction with it that you want with it, just with your hand.
Yeah.
And I think that was really key to moving this to the next stage. Now again, the tablet format that we had before, it was kind of in this form factor, maybe a little bit bigger because they were trying to fit it into a Windows machine. This right here, it said, okay, enough with that. It's like basically an iPod Touch bigger, or an iPhone sort of bigger, or the Macintosh smaller, essentially. Yeah. And they put into this smaller form factor than the Macintosh computer, a larger form factor than the iPod Touch, and I think they sort of hit a winner with this.
They did, yeah, no, and in fact, there was a lot of cynicism about it, like, oh, it's an oversized iPod Touch. You know what? caught everybody by surprise. Works fantastically. Even my dad, who he's 67 years old, he reads the New York Times in bed in the morning with it. He checks his weather. I mean, it is a device that crosses generations. The business people are buying these things like crazy. It is by far and away the gadget of the year, and will continue to be a market leader for a long time.
And you've seen interesting stories about people that normally wouldn't be into the world of computing, like older people or people that maybe have special needs, disabilities or whatever, that are actually able to actually use a computer for the first time because they actually have this touch interface that's very intuitive.
Yeah. Yeah, just an amazing, amazing, magical gadget, as Steve Jobs says. But I think we should move on because one of the other pieces that I think we wanted to cover here on the show today, is social media.
Yes.
And social media, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, whether it's YouTube, making a huge impact not only in our daily lives but also in the media. A lot of celebrity news is coming out of those vehicles, not just television anymore, not just the newspaper. Newspapers aren't breaking the news anymore. It's these kinds of Twitter and places like that. So the viral event of the year, in your estimation?
Hello, ladies. I think it's Old Spice, definitely.
The Old Spice campaign on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah.
So
well, paired with Twitter.
Paired with Twitter. So
right.
What we had was what essentially in normal times would just be a commercial that would appear on TV once, a few times, and then people would say, that was a pretty good commercial, and then it was gone. Combined with YouTube, on the other hand, it allowed it to sort of build and snowball. So, and then they realized, okay, there's something here. Came up with a second commercial, and then realized maybe there's a chance for us to interact with our viewers here. So they came up with this special program where they actually allowed you, the viewer, to interact with the Old Spice guy out there and ask him questions, and he would answer them in real time. So for over the course of a day and a bit, they actually had the Old Spice guy answering questions over Twitter.
It's amazing.
So that is the viral event of the year, I think. There's other things that come close, I think, but that is the one that really captured people's imaginations and the one that really leveraged the medium and actually built on something small and turned it into something huge just by interacting with people out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's our viral event of the year.
I think we need to mention, I think, as a good runner-up, the Antoine Dodson thing, a guy that was essentially being interviewed for a news piece in a local market, and he just sort of did his thing on camera, and someone took it, ran with it, and then he became a big sensation because of that. So
yeah, some guy climbed into bed with his sister, and then he was outraged on this local news.
Yeah.
Hilariously, like almost looks like a Saturday Night Live skit, except it was a news piece.
Yeah, it's not the most hilarious piece in and of itself, but where it went from there.
Yeah, in terms of its own hit song and guest events in award shows and things like that.
Hide your wife and hide your kids.
And hide your kids. That's right. Exactly. Very good. All right. And finally, I think it's worth mentioning the Web Gaffe of the year. Lots of news on the web this year.
Ooh, yes.
Some people making some huge mistakes. And I would suggest to you that I would like to actually. I think that Facebook and its privacy issues certainly a contender on this.
Definitely.
They have stumbled through the privacy things ongoingly. But I don't think that quite eclipses the most recent event, which was...
Gawker Media just stepped in a big, big way. So Gawker Media is a blog network, and they have a number of different properties underneath their banner. So they've got IO9, they've got Lifehacker, they've got tons of different things under their whole umbrella, and they didn't bother to update their security software for 3 years, and someone hacked them
And stole people's logins.
Their passwords, and put those up on the web. And unfortunately, that could include you. It could include me. I know it included me because I signed up for one of their services at one point because I signed up for one of their music blogs as a commenter. So they put my username and password up there. And the downside of this is that a lot of people out there, and I don't know how good you are at this, but I'm not as good at this as I should be, despite the fact that we say this. We say, get a different password and a username for all of these different places you go. So if you sign up with your email address and use the same password everywhere you go,
you could,
from your banking to your PayPal to your blogs to everything else that you do on the web, then theoretically, if this is out, anyone can log into anything you do online.
That's right. Yeah.
So
Gawker Media Gaffe, Web Gaffe of the year.
Yeah. So I mean, I think this is sort of shared between Gawker and all the people that are out there that are not being secure about their passwords. But Gawker is the one that sort of let it happen because they ignored warnings and they let their security lapse for 3 years. Don't do that. Don't let your security lapse for 3 years.
That's right.
It's bad news.
Thank you, Ms. Carruthers. I think that says it all. Well, we should mention WikiLeaks.
The WikiLeaks thing, yeah. The WikiLeaks thing is partly a Web Gaffe of the year, in that I think the New York Times fingered the wrong people for WikiLeaks, but they actually turned that around. So actually, the people on the other side of the wall from us here, they own a DNS registry service, and they were fingered improperly for this, and they said it wasn't us. It wasn't us that did this, that removed the DNS from WikiLeaks and took them offline, but they actually took that and said, okay, well, we would take that under certain circumstances, and they actually took them online, so they're back online.
WikiLeaks back online.
They put WikiLeaks back online, so the old
after the scandal went down.
After the scandal went down, so the old saw, if you get lemons, make lemonade.
There you go.
That's what they did.
Well, that's the smart people on the web. All right, well, let's take a break, and when we come back, we have a clip of the week and also your pictures, the last pictures of 2010. Well, I made a gaffe here. Speaking of gaffes, apparently we don't have a web clip of the week because we've just been showing you a bunch of clips, which kind of makes sense. But the good news is we have some extra photos for picture time. And
we do.
It's my favorite part of the show anyway. So.
Yeah, so we complained earlier on about not having enough photos. And I'm not going to say don't send any more photos because we have a glut of them, because I think we're clearing them out before the end of the year. We're reconciling our accounts before the end of 2010. So keep sending your photos to feedback@labrats.tv. I'll give you a fake version of that later. So we have a few right now. So first up we have from our friend Lee Miller, who's in Nova Scotia, a little setup here. So his little desktop with the monitor built in.
Nice.
And LabRats running on it, which is
very cool.
The show that we want to see. Oh, someone's calling you.
Somebody's calling.
Do you want to take that?
No, I won't take it. Keep going.
Okay. So next up, so we've had...
hey, it's my new co-host. Did you know that you've been fired and this guy's going to be co-hosting?
I did know that.
Yeah.
But I've been ignoring that just in case he doesn't show up.
That's right.
So we've had from Jan, he's sent us photos before, and this is his granddad.
Looks like an iPod.
It looks like an iPod, for sure.
There you go. Awesome.
So there we go. So next up, so our friend Danya sent us a snarky photo about this box said requires Windows Vista or better, so I installed Linux. There we go. So Windows 7, you're out of here. There you go. Love it. And Danya also sent us a picture of this cat.
Very nice.
Very nice. So nice slinky long cat. And there we go. And our last picture today is from our friend Bradley, who took a picture at the Hoover Dam. And we shot at the Hoover Dam. In fact, I think we were right over here when we shot.
We got chased off by an angry security guard.
We were chased off by an angry security guard. Yeah. So, but this is from the other end of it, and there we go. So LabRats at Hoover Dam, but this is Bradley at Hoover Dam from the other side. On the Arizona side, I think he said.
Very good.
So thank you very much, Bradley.
Thank you, sir, for sending that in. That's wonderful. Now, you can, for 2011, of course, we've got all kinds of shows coming up. We're going to be at the Consumer Electronics Show shortly, and coming to you from Las Vegas. So be sure to check us out there. We'll be showing you the best of robots, mobile, all kinds of really great stuff there. But you can send your pictures in for a future show to
WikiLeaks@labrats.tv. No,
do you want to do that again?
Won't work. Andy's phone keeps ringing despite the fact that we're taping episodes at labrats.tv.
Yeah, you could do that, and that wouldn't necessarily work really well.
You sure you don't want to answer that?
I don't know
could
who
this
is.
Important.
It's like, yeah, it could be. But anyway, we'll see.
It looks important.
Yeah, it might be important. Okay, so so why don't you give them something that's short?
You need to sort of set rules as to when you're in the studio and just tell them, don't call me during these times.
I know. There's certain VIPs that are allowed to reach me, though, no matter what. Especially when the grandmothers are upset.
Okay.
Okay. So tell them the short version of the email address they can send pictures.
It's feedback@labrats.tv.
Yes. Speedback?
Feedback.
Feedback@labrats.tv. There you go. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us this year. It's been just wonderful to have you on the other side of the camera, because it'd be foolish for us to be here if you guys weren't out there wondering what the heck, how technology works, and why you should buy certain pieces. Hey, what's going on?
I think Matt's been trying to call
I'm trying to wrap you up, but you're not picking up your phone.
Oh, I got it. Okay, all right. Well, I'll call you back.
All right.
All right, thanks. All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much from the cast and crew of Lab Rats. Thanks for tuning in this year and pushing play. You know, it'd be foolish for us to be here messing around with Sean Carruthers and his cocktail hour if you guys weren't out there wondering, you know, what technology was all about. My name's Andy Walker.
And I'm Angry Birds fanatic.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Are you ready? Try this at home.
All I see is two red dots and some like hair. That's all I see, and a slightly askew grin.
Hair and teeth and a couple of drunk eyeballs.
That's right, pretty much. Hair and
The
teeth.
best lab rats come out of inebriation.
That's true.
I'm not saying this is going to be one of them.